Before we begin, hit the like button for some good luck today. It would greatly help the channel with the YouTube algorithm. I was hiking the other day and it started raining pretty bad. Lightning started to occur and it almost struck me. Remember hitting the like button, so I spare. Not so much for another person that hit the dislike button. True story. If you watched the Feng Shui video for 2021, I ran through how to calculate the basic flying star in that video as well. So let's start with the basic. We'll have X in the center, whatever that number is. So currently we're at number 8. When we draw the diagram, we always assume self is at the top. And whatever the number is in the center, we follow the same pattern, increasing by 1 every time we advance. When we hit 9, we reset it back to 1. So with self at the top, we start in the center. We will advance to the lower right corner, which is the northwest, and out 1 to the west square. Then we jump to the lower left to the northeast. From there we go to the south at the top center. Then to the bottom center, which is the north. Next, we go to the top right at the southwest corner. Then we jump back to the east at the center left. And then we only get one box left, and that's at the top left in the southeast. Completes it. When you go back to the center, this is the pattern I want you to follow every time we draw a flying star diagram. So even if we have a house facing east, we would still draw the flying star diagram with self at the top, and then later rotate it to fit what we try to analyze. So sometimes it might be different when you look at it, because your house is facing a different direction. So I hope you all got the basic of the flying star. Next, we'll go to more advanced version. So instead of 1 number in the center, we'll work with 3 number in the center. So let's use a real world example for better understanding. Currently, we're in the 8th cycle between 2004 to 2023. That's the 8th cycle. When we hit 2024, we'll go to the 9th cycle, but we'll worry about that when we get there. So which means we'll always start at 8 in the center when we talk about a permanent setup. So to keep this example simple, we'll use a basic setup with a house sitting in the north and facing south. So in this case, we will use 4 that's currently sitting in the north side and 3 that's sitting in the south side, and put them in the center with the 8. So that's your free number in the center. 8, we don't have to worry about that because we did that already with the basic set, so we just repeat the number. As for the 4 and 3, we'll have to do some calculation with that. So let's make another assumption. So we assume this south direction is between 157.5 degree to 172.5 degree. We call that the Guibing facing, which means 4 will travel in the reverse direction and 3 will travel in the regular direction. So for 3, we'll draw the flying star in the bottom right square. For 4, we'll draw it out in the bottom left square. Now it's not really reverse direction. If you flip the chart upside down, then you just get the basic flying star. Hence, reverse is just another way of saying mirror image of the original. Oftentimes we do that as well when we doing Feng Shui in the southern hemisphere. A lot of Feng Shui masters consult in the northern hemisphere. But did you know that if you are in the southern hemisphere, you would flip the calculation around because of the way that water travels in the southern hemisphere? So let's quickly draw the stars. So depending on facing direction sometime, we might draw both in the reverse direction or both in the original direction. Going back to the example, if we were to face between 172.5 to 187.5 instead, it's still a south-facing house, but we would draw the 4 in the regular direction and the 3 in the reverse direction. So it's the opposite direction, depending on where you land in the 24 mountains. And that's why precise calculation on the facing direction in degrees is important, because that could change the whole setup if you're off by a couple of degrees. Okay, so now you got all the numbers put on the chart. What does that even mean? We can spend a couple hours on this if we were to dive into everything. This can be like an actual course if we were to analyze everything. So you may notice there are 2 eggs at the very bottom. This is the first thing I noticed. It tells me the house is very beneficial for health, as this set is called the double star in the mountain. Star means like the center star. Now if instead I have 2 eggs in the front, which is the other example, it's called double star in the facing instead. That means the house is very good for generating wealth. Now when you have something, you gotta take away something. If it's good for health, that means like it's not very good for wealth. If it's good for wealth, that means not very good for health. You have to decide like which one do you really want. Do you care about health more or do you care about wealth more in this situation? Very rarely, there's 3 different possibilities that you could get that's good for health and good for your wealth. But you have 6 out of 24 possibility. So that's a rare occasion. Your house will have to face southeast or northwest in the current cycle for that to happen. Which is why it's important to find a good Feng Shui consultant when looking for houses. And other number I would look at is the 2 and the 5. If you have 2 and 5 in the same area, that means it could impact your health. So we'll generally put some set there, such as the coin set, to neutralize those health effects, because these are permanent. So whatever you read on this advanced flying star chart is permanent for that cycle. So next cycle, we'll change it up to the 9th cycle, which is 3 years later. But only if you move in again, or you change the stove oven. Otherwise, you're stuck in the current cycle until you move out to a new home, or change the stove oven. Another problem I noticed is the 3 and the 4. So people that live in this house might argue a lot. There's usually a couple number I'm looking at. I mentioned that the worst is 2, 3, and 5 in the same square. I think I mentioned that in the kitchen video. Other combination I look at is 3 and 7, but it's not there. That usually means there's some kind of clashing going on between elements. 6 and 7 is a famous one. We call that the cross sword curse, which means there's risk to like fighting. You could get hurt, or that could be an entry point for robbery. House break-in could happen in that spot if it's next to a window. Other curses we call is like 4 and egg, 3 and egg. There's like a whole list of these curses that could happen. Besides the bad stuff, there are good stuff that could happen. 1, 4, and 7 is good. If it's together, that means like you are gonna get lucky and meet some wealthy lady. There's a good chance you might meet someone wealthy. 1, 4, and 7. If 3, 6, and 9 is for the opposite gender, there's a good chance you might meet a rich husband. But these are very rare occasions. It might not happen in a single cycle at all, so it's a case-by-case situation. You have to really look at the number, see what it come up. And to take it a step further, we'll look at the annual number, how they match the permanent number. Something may not happen from a year-to-year basis, but it could happen in that 1 year where you happen to have a number that's flying to your house in this sector, and then it creates one of the combinations that we were looking for. So maybe like you're single, you have like a 3 and a 6 in the location. All of a sudden this year, a 9 comes along, then you're injected with marriage luck that year. Different situation create different effect. I mean, good and bad is different for everyone. If you enjoy learning about Feng Shui or learn how to live a Feng Shui lifestyle, consider subscribing. Share if you like this video. Comment down below if you have any question regarding anything I just mentioned. Also, check out my Facebook and Instagram. I post there regularly. And check out these videos if you haven't seen them before. We have something exciting video planned for this month, so be sure to subscribe and don't miss out on any of them. Till next time!